Chapter 5: Synthesis of Strategic Issues and Analysis. Here are the learning objectives. After reading this chapter, you should be able to understand and articulate to the following questions. 5.1 Introduction. The last 3 chapters have dealt with assessing organizational performance, external analysis of the industry, and competitive environments of a firm, and analyzing the internal environment of an organization. The SWOT framework helps to pull the most important information into a format that can then be used in strategic management to determine the strategic issue the firm needs to address and resolve by consolidating a summary of the other analysis into one framework. So let's move on to SWOT framework. Chess master Bruce Pandolfini has noted the similarities between business and chess. In both arenas, you must understand your own abilities as well as your flaws. You must also know your opponents. Try to anticipate their moves and deal with considerable uncertainty. Strengths and weaknesses are assessed by examining the firm, while opportunities and threats refer to external events and trends. These ideas can be applied to individuals too. Below are examples of each element of SWOT analysis for organizations and for individuals who are seeking employment. In these examples, just read and analyze how SWOT relates from a person to an organization.
The SWOT framework is developed by synthesizing the information developed from the external, competitive, and internal assessment. The most important information from this assessment is pulled into the SWOT framework. Once complete, the SWOT is helpful in determining the strategic issue facing the organization. SWOT is also beneficial in developing the strategies for the firm. SWOT analysis is helpful to the executives, and it is used within the most organizations. Important caution need to be offered about SWOT analysis. Executive using SWOT analysis compare these internal and external factors to generate ideas about how their firm might become more successful. In general, it is wise to focus on ideas that allow a firm to leverage its strength, steer clear of or resolve its weakness, capitalize on opportunities, and protect itself against threats. When making a SWOT framework, you can visualize letter T as your guide. For the internal origin or for the top part, we have strength and weaknesses. Strength is the characteristic of a business which give it advantage over its competitor, and weaknesses, characteristic of a business which make it disadvantageous relative to the competitors. And for the bottom part or what we call the external origin, we have opportunities and threats. Elements in the company's external environment that allow it to formulate and implement strategies to increase its profitability, and threats, elements in the external environment that could endanger the integrity and profitability of the business. You can see in the next slide an example of a SWOT framework.
What is a strategic issue? First, it is an issue, something that needs to be addressed and resolved. Second, it is a strategic. It is a long-term issue whose resolution will help move the organization towards its vision. Resolving the strategic issue will have a major impact on the direction and success of the firm. The strategic issue is derived from the facts and data provided by external and internal analysis, which are then synthesized using the SWOT framework. Business decision makers define the strategic issues after the analysis is completed, rather than at the start of the strategic management process. Once defined, the strategic issues serve as driving force in the development and implementation of the organization's strategies. When a strategic issue is correctly identified and used effectively, it becomes the organization's strategic focus. Several strategic issues may emerge during this process. In general, decision makers will condense this into a single statement or address less important strategic issues when development strategies or setting lower-level goals. The word issue often connotes a negative situation that a firm may be facing. Southwest Airlines, for example, faced much lower passenger volume as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, which began in 2020. However, the subway example from earlier in this chapter demonstrates that the strategic issue was framed as capitalizing on an opportunity, how to enter untapped international markets.
The strategic issue should ideally reduce to one concise sentence so that it may be easily understood. Additional information may be offered to help explain the situation and support the strategic issue selection. Frequently, the strategic issue starts with the word how. Example of the strategic issue that starts with the word how is the Southwest Airlines. The strategic issue could be how does Southwest Airlines adjust to long-term, lower passenger volumes and remains the preferred low-cost leader in the industry. And another example is for the subway. How does Subway enter untapped international markets? Once we define the strategic issue, these companies will develop strategies that move their organization towards its vision while they are addressing the strategic issue. As the external, competitive, and internal dynamics alter, the strategic issue will also change over time. And for those organizations who works through the strategic management process, defining the strategic issue may not be simple. They may interpret data differently. For the chief financial officer of an organization, they may see the strategic issue in financial terms. For marketing director, they may see it as a marketing issue, while the human resources director as an issue with manpower and training. Planning team members can review the data from the analysis and each draft and express their opinion of the strategic issue as one method for firms to determine the strategic issue. The team then goes through a process of prioritizing them, discarding some, and combining others until they reach an agreement on the strategic issues language.
What a wonderful world.